All right, thank you all for joining us. I want to inform everybody that this session is being recorded so that we can share it with you later on. You can look at it later or share it with the people that you want to have a look at it. Also, we will share it on YouTube, so feel free to have a look at it later on. Today, we're discussing quality assurance and BCF communication at Hercuton with Daan. So I'm Maya. I'm the marketing communications manager at Solibri. I'm your host today. And here we have Lauri with us. Lauri Luoma, he's the customer success manager, and he will be answering your questions regarding Solibri later on at a later stage. So we will start with the presentation. Thank you, Dan, for accepting our invitation. So he will be discussing the subject. And then we will start with the Q&A. So at any point of this presentation, if a question pops up to your mind, then don't hesitate to add it at any time to the chat. But depending on the question, we might get to you immediately or then at the end of the session, because we want to have more of an interactive webinar today. So it's nice to hear all of your questions. And hopefully we won't be having any technical issues. So yeah, let's get to it. I have some questions, like very simple questions in the poll, so that we would know your answers. Please pick the answer that suits you and I will share it now. So please answer us, don't hesitate. And I will wait for some time. It looks like most of the answers are sometimes, but there's a huge amount doing it in all the projects, so that's great. Yes, we're still receiving some answers. All right, it looks like most of you have answered. I will close it and share with you the results. Yeah, as you can see, most of you have answered sometimes, but there's a huge amount that answered in all the projects, which is great to know and good to know for us at Solibri and also for Dan, who's going to present the topic. We have another.
This means that we still have a lot of work to do, and I think this presentation will be interesting for at least half of the people who sometimes or rarely use it to get a little more insight view into the using of Rulesets. So I'm excited.
Exactly. Now I will share the other question. So that we would know if you would use BCF communication. All right, I see that here also most of the people are answering sometimes, but there is an amount which are using it rarely, which is interesting. So now you would hear more about it. Okay, I will wait for a couple of seconds for everybody to vote. And I will stop it now.
Okay.
Here are the results.
Diverse,
yeah. Yes, yeah. Very diverse. But it looks like in all projects and rarely are almost the same. So it's either this or that.
Yeah, that's true. But still a lot of people that, and that's why I think they joined this this webinar to get a little to get to know more about it. Otherwise, if everybody would have inserted an old project, they probably wouldn't be here because they know what to do. So everybody's keen
Exactly.
to learn. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. So those are the questions that we have prepared. And okay, so I think now the floor is yours, Dan. We can
All right.
start.
All
I
right.
will share. Yes.
Let's see. There you go. Show screen. Yeah, that's fine. All right. Let's do presentation mode. There. All right. Welcome, everybody. Today we're going to talk about quality control and VCF communication. I'll try to get through this presentation rather quickly to get to the good stuff, to the demo. A little introduction of myself. I'm Daan. I'm BIM manager at Hercuton, part of Janssen de Jong Group in the Netherlands. We have about 32 brands here in Europe and in the Caribbean. Myself, I have 20 years of experience in this field. And we are a company, we do about 450 million a year. And we do a design and build, financial advice, location advice. We're a turnkey company. We have in-house architects, engineers, BIM modelers, and the outside guys, the ground crew and the construction crews. So we have a one-stop shop for our customers, which makes using BIM very interesting for us because we're in control from the get-go. Okay, how do we use Solibri? It's an integral part of day-to-day use for our engineering and work preparation department. Why do we use Solibri? Visualizing our data from many perspectives. I think this is interesting to talk about because it's not just, clash control like you see down there, but everybody has its own view on what data it needs from a model. So yeah, Solibri can help us to view that data in any way that we want to. We use that as quality control, class detection, cost calculations, and communications. So who are we using Solibri within our company? A lot of people, and about 10% are expert users, including myself and my team. And our goal is to create those happy users. This is what we want to do. This is our goal at the moment. We've been using Solibri for about 5 years now. We're very excited about it, and we want to make Solibri easy for everyone because it could be a relatively difficult program sometimes, and that's why we have those expert users to create happy users so everybody can use it simply. And how do we do that? We do that through classifications. Classifications is our starting point always. To get information, to do quality control, and to communicate. Classifications is where we always start. Today we'll focus on quality control and communication. And so what we're going to do with quality control, how we set that up in our company, we have a rule set per building aspect or discipline, if you will. The classifications are the base of all the rules. Again, the classifications is where we always start. So we check procedure, the quality of the data, the difference of production and design models. And this is a very important thing in our company as well. We're talking about design models and we're talking about production models. There's a big difference there, obviously. Check model itself on specific quality demands from our side, and then check the model or clash model with other models. That's our procedure. We're going to show that later on in the demo. And we're going to talk about communication today. We use a live connector to connect to BIMsync. BIMsync is our online platform, our CDE, Common Data Environment, and that we use to share all our data. It could be any other platform. We use the Building Smart VCF communication standard. This is something that me and a couple of other guys here in the Netherlands worked on, and have been adapted by Building Smart International. We're going to go to that later on as well. It's a sort of a manual. I'll show you later. We communicate per building aspect per discipline. We create issues directly from checking results. Will save a lot of time, and the quality of those communications will rapidly increase by doing that. I will show you that as well. And afterwards, you can create other issues manually. This is the DCF chart. We can now go to the live demo. I promise I will do this quickly, and I think I flew by doing this presentation. Before we go to the demo, are there any questions regarding our company and how we do this? Maya, are you receiving any questions regarding this?
Not any so far. Yes.
No? Oh, that's great.
So if you have questions at this point, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Please
It's either
send them
I'm
in
going
the
too quick.
chat.
Yes, place them in the chat and Maya will read it to me. It's either me, I'm going too quickly, or everybody's saying, okay, let's go to get to the good stuff. Let's assume.
So then there's one question. Are your rule sets based off BIM basis, ILS?
Good question. Yes, I will show you. Yes, I will show you that. All right, let's go to the live demo so I can actually show you what we are doing. I assume that you all see Solibri right now. Yes, it's okay. You're seeing this, Maya, as well?
There are more questions. Yes.
Okay,
now I see that are other rule sets you use to detect the difference between production? I can see the rest of the question.
Yeah, production and design models, I assume. Yes, I will show you as well. I have this, and this I'll show you in the demo. Yeah.
Also, what is the production model?
That's a good question. So how we look at the construction or the engineering process is when in the beginning we have a design, and that's our design model. So it could be an architectural model or a structural model made by your structural engineer, and that's where that's the basis of your design. Later on, when you go to when the design is approved by the client, then we go to our suppliers, and they supply us a production model, which is the production of a steel structure or a prefab concrete, those kind of things. So that's the difference between a design model and a production model. Design models, we do that ourselves internally because we have architects and engineers. We design a building. Production models are created by manufacturers. I hope that is clear. And I will show you later on how we compare those two models.
We've answered most of the question. There's one, but we can also answer later. How did you get everyone involved in the Solibri program?
Internally, I assume. I assume that's internally in our company.
Yes.
Well, in the beginning, just telling them what to do. So it's a hard push. But that's obviously joking there a little bit. But on the other side, the thing is that what we can do in most of our most core-based users, so that's our work preparation department, our engineers there, that was very easy because I have experience in that field as well. And I just asked them, hey, what are you guys doing right now? What are you doing today? Oh, I'm checking this and that. All right, so how long does that take for you? Well, it's going to take me about a day. Okay, let me show you how to do it using Solibri, and it'll take you about half an hour. So just by showing them literally how Solibri can help us in the engineering process, they will, yeah, that was an easy one because they went ahead and used it straight away because they saw what's in it for me. Well, I'm saving almost a day. Well, show me more, tell me more, Daan. So that's how that happened. And so start with the people that use it the most. That's my advice. Show them what you can do, quick wins, and they will slowly ask more and more and more. And so I think that's the way how we did it. Just show them what we can do, and they were excited.
Thank you, Daan. Thank you. I think we can get to the demo, but before I would like to ask the participants to write to whom you would like to ask this question, so it would save us some time. So write Daan or then Solibri and then the question, so that we can answer them later. But thank you, Daan. Let's go ahead with the demo.
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead. Great. So quickly, I talked about just now about design models and production models. So in Solibri, we put those in categories. Why we do that, so we can all switch them on separately. and that saves us some time. And this, so in our company, this is how we always work. We have our design models and we have our production models separately. It's very important. Then again, like I showed in my presentation, we're talking about classification. Classification is the base for all our use. And by using the classification, you can already do manually some checking. As you can, I can either, these are the, sorry for this being Dutch, I cannot change this right now. So it says here design model structural. I can have my main steel structure here. And this says steel structure engineering. So these are production models. I can also set that up, show those same. So now I can manually see if it's going okay or not. Later on, I'll show you the rule sets, obviously. So this is how we use the classification. Somebody asked me about the basis ILS. You see that over here. We can check our models within the classification if these models are approved. And already I can tell you they're not, because these guys, this data isn't properly done. You can check out the material. This looks like a little bit of a mess as well, and sometimes they apply to the rules, and sometimes it's just difficult. And honestly, it is really difficult to comply to the basis ILS all of the time. That's because mostly on the production side, and that's because some production companies have set up their whole BIM idea to literally produce steel or prefab concrete, and they're not so interested about how the data is correctly done, and which is obviously is a little bit of a shame, but that's how it is. And we see by helping them, they will get better and better. All right. Automatic controller, that's Dutch for automatic checks. This is where we are doing our rule sets. So let's go to the rule sets. I already set up a project here. It's a relatively small project for us, but it's good to have some control. As you see, I have some views up ready here. These are saved for our entire company. Of the model tree here, and of course our most important ones, the classifications, where we can play around with. And these are the rule sets. These are only some of our rule sets. We have a lot more. And as I promised in the presentation, these are set up by a discipline. This is prefab concrete, and this is steel structure in English. I just decided for this demo to use the steel structure. As I showed you in the presentation, we're talking about the basis ILS. This is the basic data check. Then we will check the differences. Let me translate that in English for you and show you what it says. So checked on differences between a design model and production models. We will do that as well. Production models, what are the quality assurance? What demands do we ask for our what do we ask from our production models? What do we need? And lastly, we check the steel structure with other disciplines. And so our engineering department is asked to do this one by one. And let me go through them a little bit. These the basis ILS, just to check the data. You can see it's already been checked. And most of them have some issues. I'm going to leave this for now because, again, the steel structure models, generally aren't, doing that great, honestly. So you can see they're actually all unclassified using this data. And it's a little bit of a shame again, but then again, because we use classifications, we can work around this. Because we use this classification smartly, that will still go into our folder main steel structure or UNP concrete, or so it to us it would be nice, but it doesn't really matter because we use classifications. All right, one of the questions was design models and production models. How do you guys check that? Well, we created a rule set which checks the differences between the suppliers and what we do as our design company. So this rule set, I can check it here. It just it checks out the differences between. Again, you can see here. So I can show you some results. Actually, let me show you the columns. So there's a lot of differences in the columns. I can go by that manually, or I can exclude it, and I can go around doing this. There are more options doing this in Solibri. You can check out this option, the switch to hierarchy list, because this will show me the results directly. And by doing this, I can judge myself how bad this issue really is. And I can also have some filter in it because, for instance, that's not really a large building, but if I somehow feel that it is, I can create a section plane here. And now only this part of this is showing. And I can, let me go back to this one so you guys can see. You can see the amount here, 128 and 36. But if I use the filter option right there with my sections, you can, there, it's now 59 and 26. So now my results are a lot less, and I can just check this part, for instance. What if this part is crucial, and later we'll do the rest later, so I can just go by this. And so apparently there are some deviations here. I can go, I don't have to really scroll, I can just click on it and I will see the deviation. So now I don't really know what we're talking about here. So what I'll do, again, I'll use my classification, steel structure engineering. I'll set up, I'll add this. There you go. And now I know what they're talking about. So it's a bracing. So the designer placed the bracing at some other point, and the production company moved it a little bit. Well, to me, this is not a problem, so it's okay. So this is how we use the quality check. We check them one by one, and then when there is an issue, we'll communicate later on. Let me see what I was going to do. Difficult. All right. So this is how we can just go through it. It looks like a mess, but again, I don't know how many people have experience with these kind of steel structures. The difference between the production model and the design model is literally a couple of centimeters, and this is where the production company adds their plates. I can show you here. So the difference is that these beams are all smaller than the designer created because these beams, these plates are added. And you can still see here the pink square or rectangle that is, that Solibri tells me, hey, wait a minute, this beam is now shortened by this length. Well, that is true, and that's great because that's exactly what we need. So that means that sometimes it could be a false positive checking these things, but because I know how this works, I'm okay with it. So I'm generally looking for columns. Again, they have the same thing. You see the small differences. Looking for columns that are moved horizontally. Because if they're moved horizontally, then that means that our production company somehow decided that this column needs to be placed somewhere else, and that's obviously unacceptable. So I can do that, and you can check if it's exceeding or it's no corresponding components. That is interesting. So that means that the production company added steel without designing them. All right, so let me select them all. What's going on? All right, so that's wind bracings. So they've added wind bracings. That is something interesting for me to know. And these are exceeding very low values. So I'll generally just check the high values exceeding 2.5 meters. That's very interesting. What's going on over here? Let me just add the steel structure again so I know what we're talking about. Yeah, I don't know why it's happening here, but it's good. It's telling me this. This again, it's the same thing. The red is the designer, the green is the production model, and this looks great to me. This is not a problem. But it still is good to check because you never know what is a problem. So so Solibri is helping us a lot, getting us insight into this in this process using the steel structure checking. And here is the same. It's the same thing. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. So again, this helps us out. I think it's interesting to use either these kind of either the beam and the columns checks, and use your filters with the section. You can also use filter with a selection. You can just go select and throw a window here, and then say filter with selection basket, and you'll see the numbers change as well there. And we're just talking about these columns or all the columns. So yeah, that's an easy way to minimize your filters. Oh, there, to check out what you're doing. Okay, let's move on. So our production model, our own demands. What are we asking for this model? So what we did is within our company, our specialists, we asked them, when you're checking a steel structure, what are you checking? So we wrote those questions down, and those questions are now in part of this list. And you see there's an A or an H behind it. Well, that's Dutch for automatic, or an H is Dutch for manual. So there's automated checks and there's some manual checks which cannot be automated. So what this helps our engineering department is we've created a checklist what they have to check when a steel structure model is being sent to them. So yeah, so this is company-wide. You don't have to do this manually every time. Our whole company uses the same rule sets. They're done like that. So for instance, let me take a couple of seconds, like here, this one. This says the bolts need to be in entire centimeters, so you can't have half centimeters length. All results are filtered out. Wait, let me check model again. Where are my results? Oh, sorry, I've used filters. That doesn't work, obviously. So no filter. There you go. Like the bolts, for instance, and it's saying, okay, all these bolts have a length of 35, 45, and 55 millimeters. So our engineering department will change that to 40, 50, 60, and 70, because we don't want these half-size bolts for some reason whatsoever. It's not up to me, it's up to them. So what we can show you here by doing this is that Solibri is just not about clashing. It's also what quality assurance. We want other type of bolts. We can check that. This one, for instance, is the bottom of the steel needs to be at least 30 millimeters above the foundation. All right, so what's going on? And show me the results. Components are too close. Okay, what are you talking about? Let me show you. Okay, these are some. So what are we? These are some assemblies, some fasteners. So let me show you how we can fix that. So this is a small error in the rule set. So we just change that. Let me undock the information here first. So this is the information about the fastener. Again, I'll go to classification straight away because I want to exclude them using classifications. Again, we always use classifications. This is the classification steel structure engineering, and this is the folder it's being held into. So I will exclude that classification. How do I do that? Right click, rule parameter. Here there's already some things excluded. The anchors are excluded. I will double click here. I will also add this one. It's now also excluded. Close it, check model again. There you go, it's not checking it. It's now completely okay. So we have no more issues. So all steel structure is at least 30 millimeters above the foundation, which is obviously perfect. And there you go, because I've already excluded these things. I've excluded the anchors, and I've also excluded the assemblies. So the bottom of these plates are now 30 millimeters above my foundation. So that's how we use the quality assurance for these kind of things. And I think that's yeah, it's a rather good thing to do. What else can I show you in here? Let me go on to the next one. So here we have our clash control with other disciplines so far. Maybe before I move on, are there any questions before I move on? Maya?
Yes, we have received some questions, but I think that they can wait until the end, or would you like to answer them right away?
Well, if I'm going, well, I can do one more. I can just do our final piece, clash control with different disciplines. Let me just do this. I'll finish this up, and I will answer some questions and show them directly. So what we do here, I'm in the mode of checking the steel structure. So, and you see that here as well. So we've created some standard rule sets. It says, all right, so steel model will be checked against the foundation. Steel model will be checked against the architectural model, our MAP, and our prefab concrete. All right, so show me the MAP, and I will then move this up so I can have better results. There you go. It's up a little bit. So there's a lot of clashes between steel structure and MEP. And again, you can see, well, these are all the clashes, but let me keep it simple. What's interacting between the beams? What we always do is create an overview first to see how bad is it, because a list of 1152 seems awfully large for such a small project. But if I look at it like this, I have an overview like, all right, it's not that bad. It's going to give me a couple of clashes, and it's not going to be that bad. So what happens here? I can either go through all these 1100 issues, but I don't want. I'm relatively lazy, I suppose, and I don't want to do that. So, but you could, but you could also do this semi-manually by just going through the model and seeing what's going wrong. And the rule set already helps you by finding out these kinds of things. So, like for instance, this one, this pipe goes through this wind bracing, and that's not possible. So I can do that. I can do it in two ways. This might be an interesting trick for you guys. I can click on that object, and there you have your. It now has a little tab that says issues. So this tab is now filled with issues. It's results of all the rule sets I've run, where it is at fault, if you will. And well, one of them you see right here. This is where I'm looking right now. So I can click on that issue, and that's right there. So this issue is now right here. So again, I could have gone through all of these. I can click on them, and it says this floor is interacting with some MEPs, whatever. But I'm not really interested in that. See, it's just too much for me. I could also have excluded the floor, honestly. But to me, that's not interesting. And this gets to the good part. And I just want to check these kind of things. So again, I can also go back and exclude the floor, which is actually weird that it's in there. And or I can just do this manually. And right now, I chose to do this manually. I will go to this beam. I will actually do another one because I already did this one. So I will go here. I will go to this, click on this, check the issues, go to that one. So this is my issue. And this leads us right into the communication, really, because from creating issues through the rule sets, you go right to the BCF communication. Apparently, there are a couple of similar ones because they're all folded on this one. So that's really helpful for Solibri categorizing the issues. So the fact what they're saying is that this beam, and you see that over here. So beam 7692, that's this one. It says here W72, and you can see that over there as well. So that's the link. So they're telling me that W72 is interacting with a couple of things from the MEP. Well, so that's quite helpful. So I can either make one issue of all this, or I can make one of this, and another one, I guess, and there you have another one. So it's just whatever way you want to do it. It doesn't really matter. So let me just keep it small. Let me just tell you this is the problem for now. They have to move the duct has to move here. So I will create an issue. I will double click there, and an issue has now been set up for me. And this is where we, I think I will hold on here, Maya, because this is where we go into BCF communication. That's a part of the next chapter. I'll go. Are there any questions regarding the rule sets that I quickly need to answer before I go into BCF communication? Because that's when we start now.
Yes, actually, there are a couple of questions regarding what kind of rules do you use for 04 and for 02?
Honestly, let me see. I'm not sure which rule this really literally is, but it's checking. Maybe Laurie, you can help us with this. I'm not entirely sure. I could actually go and find out here. I wasn't prepared for that one, but that's okay. So rule sets open in Solibri, steel structure. This is 2. So so that is rule number, there it is. So it's 223 and 223. That's a needle in a haystack, isn't it? There you go. So structural components fit in architectural ones. That's the one we use for that. So it checks the architectural model and the structural model, and it's checking the differences. So that's rule 223. And for number 4 is this is a relatively easy one, because this is the standard one. This is the check. This is the clash control, which is general intersection rule. 4 is relatively easy, but we make it smart by using classifications if we want to. And I think these ones for now aren't using classifications that much, but we use classifications to exclude some things. And we can make them smarter by adding classifications. Anything else?
Yes, thank you. So another question is, which kind of rules do you use for, it's a different language, but I assume it's quality control product model.
Yeah, that's number 3, I suppose. That's very different. That could be anything, because the one I showed you just now is like the size for the bolts. There you go. That's 9.31. Let me see. There it is. So property value must be agreed from agreed list. So what we did there is, I can actually open it. I think I can just open. I should be able to open this. Oh, okay. How come that's not? Oh, there you go. And then I'll go on to the next one. Where was it? There. So what we did here is we used yeah, this is pretty much what we used. So it needs to be here. So what we did is we went into the parameter, which is Tekla bolt length, because it's technically it's almost a Tekla model. And what we did here, it says that the fastener must have a value of at least anything with a 0 dot and a 0. So therefore, that can never be a 5. So that means by doing this, because this is in millimeters, it always needs to be a complete centimeter. So that's a little trick we use there. But if anybody's interested, I'm very happy to share these rule sets with anybody, because we have no secrets, and we're just happy to help everybody out and use this. So.
Yes, actually, we had a question related to, will you be sharing it? So if you share it, that would be really great.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, why not? Let's everybody have fun with it. Where was I? Automated control. There you go. Let me go back to the issue. I can go through the issue. There you go. So there we are. So issue. Let me then quickly have a sidestep. I see we only have 20 minutes left, but we already did some questions. So I talked about the building collaboration format. And if you check this website, it's in our presentation. You will receive it. You go to this link, and then there's a link to this sheet. I'm not going to go completely into this. That's maybe for something else. But what we have created me and a couple of other guys created a standard on how to work with BCF communication. So why do you want to use BCF? This is for yourself and for your managers. Hey, why should we start using this? Because it's the right thing to do. It'll help you with communication because it's object-based. And that's really a much better way to communicate than emails and print screens. What is BCF? Well, it's like communicating instead of communicating through models, and you can share those issues quickly, and I will show you that in a minute. And this is the sort of the manual, how does BCF work? And what we tell people here to use as a standard is, at least use these functions in your BCF. So that's the minimum to work with. I think it'll help people out. The quality of the BCF communication will be better for sure. So let me just, instead of looking at more manuals, let me show you how this works. And again, this link will be in the presentation, and you guys can check it out for yourself. It's now in English. It started in Dutch. It's then translated in English, and I think it's also translated in Spanish soon, and in French. And a lot of people around the world are interested in this kind of manual. So if you guys want to translate it in another language, you're very happy to help us out. All right, let me go back. There you go. So my issue. What we do here with the title, we want to create a unique title. Let me do it in English for you guys. So it's MEP number 100. It doesn't matter really what it is, as long as it's unique. So the description is let me think in English first. So it's bracing, clashing with pipe. Please move pipe around bracing. The bracing cannot be moved. All right. So one of the other things you saw in the manual is the title, the description, and the status is very important. The status is we've assigned this issue to, this is where these assignees are. It doesn't really matter for now because this is a test. Let me just assign it to this group. The other, and we're going to leave the rest. The rest are, we feel, not the top priority. And also why we feel that is that when you communicate with BCF, you can communicate with different BIM programs, applications, if you will. And not all of these BIM applications use the same functions. They will probably use most of them that you see here, but not all of them. So what we did is, in that manual, we'll show you what at least the parts that, let's say 99% of all the BIM software can actually work with. So that's the title, that's the description, that's the status, that's the responsibility right here. So this person or group is responsible for it, and that's the picture here. And if you decide, hey, that's not a right picture, let me change it around. Okay, let me change it around from this angle. I can just refresh it. There, not a problem. And the very most important thing is hidden behind components, because this is where the power of BCF is. It's adding these components by adding the GUID to it, so we know for sure what components are actually part of the problem. If you would do it differently through a drawings, you would maybe draw a circle over some part of the drawings and say, hey, this beam is intersecting, change it, but you don't really know for sure if you're communicating the right way. So adding these components is the very most important thing. I can close this. This issue has now been made. I will quickly add a new presentation. From checking results, I have 2 issues. I created one before this demo. So what we're going to do now is add those issues to our project in BIMsync. And so how we do that? That's the new function that Solibri has been running for, I'm not entirely sure, maybe half a year or a year already. It's great. Let me show you guys what we do here. So we're going to contact BIMsync, and this could be anything. This could be, I think, a BIM collab or so many other. What else can you? Here, Trimble Connect, BIMsync, BIMtrack, Econex, StreamBIM, Dalux. So there's many platforms that you guys can connect to. So this is really great. So you have a one-on-one connection, direct connection with it. Let me just find the project that I need to connect to. I already forgot the project name. 12447. Okay. So I'm going to search through all my projects. I have a lot. I'm sorry. 12447. There we go. So I want to connect to this project, and I will synchronize some of the issues. That was a mistake. It's now synchronizing all of the issues. I should have filtered that first, but it's okay. It's relatively quickly. All right. So what I want to do is import the issues that I've just created. I've created 2, so I will add that to the list. That's probably relatively smart for me to wait a little while before the importing is done. Again, I should have used the filter first. I thought I would have saved because I did this before, but it's okay now. All right, so I want to add 2 more issues. There we go. I've set up that as this button. I think that everybody should, because let me quickly show you what I'm doing here. It's now asking me to, are you ready to synchronize? That's what it's telling me, and I want to do this. There is also a function that is not asking you and will upload straight away. I will advise you to take that off, because if it's synchronized, you cannot go back. And how do you change that? That is settings, BCF Live Connector. And I would advise for everybody to take off that. Yeah, keep that clean there. But that's obviously up to you. So because I want to check if it's okay. Yes, it is okay. Let me synchronize. So before I synchronize, let me show you guys how that works. So this is our BIMsync project, and these are our issues. And they will soon appear here if I have shared them. I will now say, yes, Mark is ready. And they will be green very soon. There's a direct connection between Solibri right now and BIMsync. And there you go, that's one, and that's two. Let me go back to BIMsync. Let me give you a refresh. And there they are. So that's the power of, that's part of the power of the live connector. It's straight away giving you issues to another platform. And the power of BCF communication is the fact that I've created a issue in software 1, which is Solibri, and in software 2, in this case BIMsync, or it could be anything. It could be Revit, it could be Tekla, it could be whatever you guys use. If I go there, there can be no discussion of what we are talking about. We're talking about exactly this pipe and this wind bracing. There is no more miscommunication. And you can see I have attached, this is the responsibility, he's now assigned to this, and these are the two objects that are attached to it. This is my description. So transferring communication is gold. And this is why I believe everybody should use this, because this is will help your project enormously. And what you can see here, this is not Solibri, but Solibri supports these kind of things. Obviously, this to BCF communication is that you can have your all your issues. You can manage your issues here very well. And again, it doesn't have to be BIMsync. It could be a lot of platforms, and this will help your projects enormously. So I really hope everybody will start using these kind of platforms. Yeah, I think that's it for now. Let's do some more questions. Let me go back here. Maya?
Thank you so much, Daan. We have some questions, but don't worry, if we don't answer you immediately, we will send you the answer over. So in order to make full use of classifications throughout your organization, do you have clear information requirements for the model authors to create consents, IFC files, data types, naming, etc.?
Yeah, good question. Well, the quality is technically what we call the basis ILS, or the base IDM, I think it's in English. But as I said before, the production models, it's somehow really hard for them. And then we tell them, because what we do, we work with the same suppliers most of the time. So we tell them, all right, if you cannot somehow not comply with those rules, then please do what you have been doing. Even if you call your toilet a door, please continue calling it a door. At least be how do you say that? Consequent about it. No, that's not the right word. Consistent. Thank you. At least be consistent about it. Because then whenever we receive a model from you, again, supplier, it will automatically fit right into our classification. I can quickly show you something there. See this? Look, this is our classification, and it looks a little bit of a mess, but this is what we did, because we have multiple suppliers supplying us steel, and this is in English, this is an anchor, which you mold into a foundation. Some people call it an anchor, some call it this, some call it that, some call it this, and so on. So by creating a larger classification for different suppliers, we can you don't have to classify it every time. Any other steel structure I import into this model will directly classify pretty much for 95% straight away, because what we did is get our suppliers in, like 4 or 5 suppliers, and check what their common data, and that's how we created the classification. And I know this might not be the perfect way to do it, but it's a very practical way of doing it.
And it has worked for you, so that's great.
It's working for us. We have a lot of happy users, and that's what we want to do. Yeah.
Great. So another question is, are you checking clashes between MEP and design or production model?
Well, that's an interesting one because MEP for us is hardly ever a design model, and this is maybe a little strange. Our projects are not that big compared to maybe some others. We don't do schools or hospitals and those kind of things. So our MEP hardly has a design model. As in, we don't have a separate designer for MEP. Our MEP is our MEP supplier straight away. So in short, no, but it shouldn't really matter. As in, the idea will still be the same, I hope.
Yes, exactly. Do you add traditional drawings into the SMC model, or do you not see any benefit in using this?
I mean, I definitely see benefits of doing this. Some of our guys are doing this very daily. I myself are more of a 3D person. I don't really use it personally, but yes, our company, there's definitely some guys who are importing PDFs into this drawing and seeing it. What we prefer is, and you see that here now, it says room 78 and 80. We're now educating our modelers to do this a little bit differently, and so that we can actually literally see a better room names and numbers. We created some data for that. So I'm trying to reduce the use of doing that. But yeah, I still see an advantage of doing it. Yes, we do.
Great, thank you. Is your BCF able to be modified to match local authorities' requirements?
Interesting. Who's asking? What country are you from? Because I've never heard of that a local requirement using BCF. So that I'm very happy that a government is actually asking standards from the BCF. That will be very interesting. So where are you from? I would like to learn more about it.
There's also like a similar question that are there any official rule sets issued by the government in Netherlands, for example,
Nope.
for building permits?
Nope.
Okay, good. Good to know.
Yeah, not good, because I think there are some Scandinavian countries that are doing this, and that is good. I believe that we should do that as well here in the Netherlands. The government could easily do that, and our local governments could use these 3D checks to check proper models. But you know, the reality is that I don't know what the percentage is, but at least half, and probably more, maybe more, of the construction being done is not done using BIM. You know, all these small projects that are like small houses and that kind of stuff. A lot of people don't use BIM. So, is it a wise decision for our government to demand it? Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. We have a room for a couple more questions, or maybe one question. What is your strategy for checking complex projects with models larger than 1 gigabyte?
I don't think we've ever received that. I think the largest BIM model we've received is about 500 MB, which was already quite stressful for our PC. So 1 gigabyte, I would ask the modeler to change that, because a model of 1 gigabyte is probably a bad idea. I would cut that model down, ask the modeler to create smaller IFCs, because it's probably not manageable. That's my first idea. And if it somehow is manageable, I will definitely advise to use the filters. So I would definitely start using filters with sections. I would create that. I would make it smaller. I think that's how it will work in general anyway. You need to keep things small and work from worst case scenario to it doesn't really matter, you know, in that kind of scale. So start smart and use your filters with sections to take out the worst parts first. I think that would be it.
Great, thank you, Daan. One more question. Do you always do the classification manually, or is it automated?
No, it's fully automated. What we have done here is these classifications are set, and we have a lot more. they are automatically loaded into a new project, and they don't need to be adjusted. They will only need to be adjusted if somehow there is a new supplier and it doesn't fit into our classification. We will then, one of our experts will receive a message, and they will change the classification, load that up to our server, and the next time somebody asks this classification, it will be reset straight away automatically. Because manually is really a bad idea. It's not manageable, and again, you need expert users to do this properly.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dan. I think we're running out of time for this session. It was a really informative presentation, and it was heavily focused on the implementation, which was great. This is what we have been asked, and ask you shall receive. Thank you so much, Dan.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So I would like to announce that we have another webinar coming up in February with Vola Group, and the registration link will be sent to you shortly after some hours after this webinar. So please attend it, and I'm looking forward to it. Yes, I will. For the questions that I was not able to answer, we will send you the answers later on, and also we will send you the link to the recording of this webinar. But other than that, I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank Dan and Laurie for being here with us, and especially Dan for this amazing presentation. It was really really informative. And if you have any questions for us, these are our emails. Don't hesitate to contact us. And I hope I will see you next time in the next webinar.